Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 2, Chapter 9.3 Notes, Day 2. Today we're going to be talking about graphing linear inequalities in two variables. Our learning target today is to be able to graph linear inequalities with the horizontal and vertical line graphs on the xy coordinate plane, and to be able to write a linear inequality with two variables from a graph on the xy coordinate plane. So, just as a review from yesterday, here's my little coordinate plane right here. Here's our x, y, and there's our x, just like always. We talked about a vertical line, and then after that vertical line, we had to either shade above or below, okay? And that looked like y, our inequality, mx plus b, okay? Remember that m is your slope, b is your y-intercept, and then our two variables was y and x, okay? So when we have two variables, we had a diagonal line, okay? The graphs that we're going to be working with today are only going to have one variable, where it's going to be x, inequality and a number, and y, an inequality and a number. And when it looks like this, okay, if the inequality only contains an x variable, so just the x, it's going to have, sorry, I had to pause the video real quick, but if it's an x variable, it will create a vertical line. If the inequality only contains a y variable, it's going to create a horizontal line. Okay, so if we're looking at this little thing right here, remember x, it's going to be vertical, and y, we're going to have horizontal. So let's graph the following inequalities on the coordinate plane. So first thing we need to look at is the variable. One variable, and it's a y, so this is going to be a horizontal line, and it's going to be a horizontal line at -2. Now, is it going to be open or closed? Well, first off, remember now, Mr. Grice needs to think a little bit. Looking at the inequality symbol, is it greater than or less than? All right, that's the greater than symbol, or equal to, because it's got that line underneath it. So what that means is it's going to be a solid line. We still need to know if it's going to be solid. It's going to be closed points. And if it's greater than, we need to shade above. So all of that's still the same, okay? So at -2, I have a closed point, and since it's a horizontal line, I can just go straight across. All right, and it said to shade above, so above that line, it would look like that. Okay. Now let's look at our next one. Once again, there's only one variable, and it's an x. So when it's an x, we know that it's going to be a vertical line. Now let's look at the inequality symbol. It's less than or equal to. So if less than or equal to, it's going to be solid. It's going to have closed points, and it's less than, so that means we need to shade below. So at 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's my point. It's a vertical line. How do I shade below? It's vertical. Well, remember, it's less than, okay? So if it's less than, where are the points less? So when we go to the right, numbers get bigger, right? So on a less than, on a vertical line, we need to shade left. Okay, remember that less means left. So we're going to shade everything to the left. All right, let's look at number 3. First thing we want to look at is how many variables does it have? It only has one variable. It's a y. So that means it's going to be horizontal. Okay. Now let's take a look at the symbol. It's less than. Okay. So it's going to be open and have a dashed line, and it's less, so we need to shade below. So let's go ahead and draw that at 6. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up. How am I going to fit that on my graph? Well, if we count by 2's instead, like 2, 4, 6. Oh, there we go. So at 6, it's going to be open, and it's going to be a dashed line. And then we said that we have to shade below. So I'm shading below. You guys starting to get hang of it? Let's do another one. Okay. So the first thing we do, how many variables do we have? We have one variable. It's an x. So that means this is going to be a vertical line. Okay. Now let's look at the inequality. It's greater than. When it's just the greater than, it's going to be dashed with open points, and we need to shade above. So let's see what that looks like. At -3, I'm open. It's an x, so it's a vertical line. And we have a dashed line. How do I shade above? It's vertical. Okay, so on a vertical line, numbers that are greater, we end up shading to the right. Okay, because when we go to the right, the numbers get bigger. And there we go. Why don't you try 5 and 6 on your own? Just remember, for both of these, you need to look at the inequality to tell you what to do. Okay, go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, and there we go. So 5 was a horizontal line. It's dashed, which means we have open points, and we had to shade above. For number 6, x, so it's a vertical. It was less than or equal to, so it was solid with closed points, and we shade below. And for an x, when we shade below, that means to shade to the left. Okay? All right. Now let's work backwards. Write the linear inequality that represents the graph. When writing the inequality, ask yourself the following question. Is the line solid, closed points, or dashed, open points? Did they shade above or below the line? So let's do a couple together. Now, first thing I notice is it's a vertical line. So with a vertical line, we know that it's a x, okay? Now, the next things we notice is the line solid or dashed. It's solid, which means it has closed points. So I know my symbol is going to have the line underneath it. Now, did we shade to the right or to the left? We shaded to the right, and that means that it is greater. So we need the greater than symbol. And then the next thing we need to do is look to see where they're at. And that's at positive 2. So we get x is greater than or equal to positive 2. Okay. Let's do number 8 together. The first thing I notice is that it's a horizontal line. And when it's a horizontal line, we know that it's y. Okay. I notice that we have a dashed line with open points. And then did we shade above or below? We shaded below. So below means less than. So it's just the less than symbol. It's not with the line underneath it because there is dashed points. And then the next thing we need to look at is where is that at? And that is at -1. So we get y is less than -1. Okay? So for number 9, I want you guys to ask yourself those same questions. Is it horizontal or vertical? Is the line solid or dashed? And then they shade above or below or left to right. Okay? So why don't you try number 9? And then the answers will be up in just a minute. Pause the video. Okay, so we get x is less than or equal to -1 because it's a vertical line. It had solid and closed points and they shaded to the left, and left means less. All right, let's flip it over. Now, this side we said write the inequality that represents the graph. Okay? When writing the inequality, ask yourself the following questions. Is the line solid, closed points, or dashed, open points? Did they shade above or below the line? And what are the slope and y-intercept of the line? Okay? Now, remember, when it's diagonal, just with our little notes right here, diagonal means that it's got 2 variables. Okay? So no matter what, we're going to have a y and an x in here. The things that we need the slope, we need the y-intercept, and then we need to ask ourselves about the shading, okay? And so what they're saying is maybe if we need to write solid or dashed, and did they shade above or below, okay? So let's first try to figure out the slope. When we're figuring out the slope, the best way to do that is to start at one of the points right there. And in this case, we have to go up and to the right. And we have to go up 1, 2, 3. So we went up 3 and to the right 2. And if you want, we can double check that with the next one. And we went up 3 to the right 2. So that's what our slope is. Okay. Now the y-intercept is where we start. It's where we begin. And we begin at the point -1, -2, -3. That's 0, -4. So 0, -4. And now, ask ourselves, is it a solid or is it a dashed line? Okay, well this is a dashed line. And did they shade above or below? Below. Okay, so with that criteria, dashed and below is the less than symbol. Okay, so now we just fill in the blanks. So y is less than 3 over 2x minus 4. Okay, let's move on to number 11. So let's take a look. We need to know the slope. from one point to the next point, we went down 2 and to the right 2. So our slope is -2/2, but we can reduce that to -1. Okay, the next thing we need is our b, which is where we begin. And right there we begin, that's a +0, 1. So is it solid or dashed? It's solid. And did they shade above or below? They shaded below. So with all that information, I know that y, if it's solid, we have the line underneath it and it's less than. So y is less than or equal to -1x plus 1. And remember that plus 1 comes from the y-intercept. Now the only thing that could be different is when it's a -1 slope, you don't need to have that 1 there. You can just be -x. Okay? All right. Number 12. Remember y and x. Why don't you guys ask yourselves all those questions, see if you can fill it out, and then once you unpause the video, the answer will be up. Good luck. Okay, when you're done, you should get y is greater than or equal to, because it's solid and they shaded above, 1/5 x, because the slope, they went up 1 and to the right 5, minus 2, because they began the graph at -2. All right, number 13, you guys are all on your own. Go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, and you get y is greater than -3/2x plus 3. Now, if you need any assistance on this, still having trouble, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself. We would love to help you out. Otherwise, that's going to be it for Algebra 2, Chapter 9.3 notes, Day 2. Thanks for watching.